That's because no one's talking right now. Here comes Pastor Elias.
All right.
Your video's off. Elias, your video's off. All right, guys. So glad everyone can join in today. And we're going to just get started right away. And we're going to bless this moment in Jesus' name as we begin. May the Spirit of the Lord have his way. Amen. So go ahead, Elias.
Can you guys hear me? Y'all good? Or am I muted? You good?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
All right, good. Well, welcome everybody. I know the topic that we're dealing with. It so permeates our system of Christianity and our faith in God, especially as the culture has gone wild and gone crazy. And it's not for the faint of heart. You know, these discussions are not for the faint of heart in understanding them and putting them in their proper perspectives. So if you didn't, I know I had one or two people ask me for the notes from last week. Okay, don't forget what I'm giving you. Okay, what I'm giving you is a framework. Okay, a framework to see life through, or to see your biblical understanding through. And so I'm not telling you what to think. Okay, I'm really teaching you how to think biblically, how to look at things biblically. In the next lessons that we have coming up, we're going to interpret and translate, but we have these pressing issues that are so upon us. I mean, they're in our face. Everything is in our face, and to sit there and not address them on how we should be looking at things is inappropriate, because if I'm preaching to my congregation and I'm preaching about joy of the Lord, right? And I'm not, and they're like, the devil goes, keep talking about that stuff, because that's not affecting the war that they're really in. They're in an information war. They're in a war of accepting things that are unacceptable. And we have to equip our churches to be prepared to have an answer for these crazy systems of thinking that are out there. And there's a book that I'll recommend several books for you to be looking through in these culture issues, and especially in Sodom and Gomorrah. There's one book we're going to be looking through today, and it's called After the Ball. Okay, it's After the Ball. This book you can get it on Amazon, and they made it extremely difficult to get, very rare to get. In fact, you probably won't even be able to get this book, because what it is the handbook. It's the handbook of the homosexual agenda in America, or the gaying and the queering of America, how they're going to dethrone the church and how their action plan to do this. So I'm going to walk you through some of these steps. Okay, that's why some of the preachers sound so stupid on the pulpit, and that's why some of them won't even touch it, because they don't know how to answer these things, because of the agenda that has been shoved down their throats. They don't know how to approach the Bible anymore and address the people and undress the lies of the enemy. It's called After the Ball. Okay, you can find it on Amazon from as low as $350 all the way up to, I've seen it as high as $1,800. Okay, I checked today, it's at $950. Okay, it's called After the Ball. They made it extremely difficult. It's a very difficult read because it's very perverse. Okay, but it's their game plan. It's their game plan. And you're going to get familiar with these names. We didn't get here overnight. Okay, the academic institutions have been corrupted so bad, and they're one of the main instruments into shaping the minds of young people. So after the ball, we're going to go through their strategy. We're going to look at their strategy and on how they wanted to convert, desensitize the church. And it's a direct attack on the church and how to take a Christian apart. Okay, and how to get us to lay down our arms and be quiet on something that the Bible is so loud on. Okay, I told you last week, in last week's discussion, the discovery of Sodom and Gomorrah in 2013, the artifacts. Okay, the book of the discovery of Sodom and Gomorrah, you can find it by Dr. I forget what his first name is. I think it's Steve Collins. Or you can go on YouTube, and you can look up Sodom and Gomorrah, and there's a he did a podcast, and it's Dr. Steve Collins, I believe his last name is Collins, definitely, but his first name is Steve, I believe, but you can figure that out as we go, or maybe in the last notes I have his name in there, but his end result for you in finding Sodom was this: God hates homosexuality for all that it does to humanity. Sodomy is it's a crime against nature, and it's a crime against humanity. You have to understand that. Unnatural affections and passions. Listen, this is important. Unnatural affections and unnatural passions. Okay. Romans chapter 1 talks about the unnaturalness of these things, giving themselves over to strange flesh. That's all part of this. The finding of Sodom and Gomorrah, the gates that Lot sat at, where the angels of the Lord walked in to meet him there, where the homosexuals of Sodom came out to attack the angels, and they found it all. They got all the evidence. Here's what's important to know about that message: that number one, Sodom and Gomorrah is for real. Number two, God has an opinion about that type of sexual perversion. And number three, judgment is upon that type of lifestyle. And this is the war that we are in. And not to address this issue from that lens is a travesty. And that's why the church stutters where the Spirit of God is speaking. We cannot stutter where the Spirit of God is clear. He's very clear. So from Genesis all the way through the book of Revelations, you will find Sodom and Gomorrah. The metaphors for it, the destruction is always there, the perversion is always there, and God's perspective of them is always there. So let's lay that aside now. How did this happen to America? How did this happen to your church, my church, the people around us? Why are so many Christians so complacent now with this perversion? We've heard this thing, the saying in the conservative movements, in our political realms: if you go woke, you go broke, right? If you go woke, you go broke. And you saw Dodger Stadium was completely empty last week because of the perversion with the nuns of desolate, whatever they are. Okay, this mockery of Christianity, this mockery of Catholicism about the holy sacred things. It's in your face. The drag queens, the men acting like women. Listen, it's a loser, because intuitively, even the sinners know this is incorrect. This is not right. It's garbage. And I'm going to prove this to you. Okay, I'm going to show this to you academically. I'm going to show you their plan. Okay, their plan. This was their plan. So I'm pulling some information from outside sources, like homosexual magazines, from their writers on what they say about the homosexual movement. And the main platform that I'll be teaching you from is their playbook from Harvard University, from these two professors. One of them is a marketing professor, and the other one is a psychology professor, okay, at Harvard. Okay, not even in the fields of biomedicines, not in anthropology, not in anything that has to do with the human anatomy. It has to do with the mind, and it has to do with how are we going to sell our ideas to America. So let's get started. I pray that this will bless you and give you more ammunition on how to see this movement that's everywhere. It's everywhere. And if you feel wrong about saying anything, then consider yourself part of the propaganda machine. We're all part of it. We're all part of it. Okay. There's this gentleman by the name of Mark Stein. We're going to start with this, and he takes a historical walk. Mark Stein. He's a Chicago Times. It's amazing how all the homosexual stuff is coming out of Chicago. I don't know there, Robert.
Watch yourself, brother. Watch yourself.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay.
No, it all
Wait
came
till
out of
the end.
California. California is where
Hold on. I'm just saying.
it all began. San Francisco, LA, get it right, and then it spread.
Okay. Hey, the pastor got offended. Wow. Attack the homeland.
Don't mess with Chicago. We're real men here.
So he writes in the Chicago Times, okay, an article on July 13th, 2013. Mark Stein, he writes this. He's a political commentator. He says, in the old days, there was sodomy, an act. In the late 19th century, okay, moving into the 1900s, he goes, the word was coined a condition. Okay, they made it a condition. It wasn't an act. It wasn't a sinful thing. They changed it to a condition. A generation ago, that was an accepted term, and it became. Each formulation raises the stakes one can object to and even criminalize an act. One is obligated to be sympathetic towards a condition. But once it's fully fledged a 24/7 identity, like being Hispanic or being a group of people, okay, because you're going to hear this idea, okay, you're going to hear this come through in the later parts. It's called black is the new gay, brown is the new gay, okay, because what they've done, they've taken sodomy or homosexual from an act against humanity to a condition. Now it's an identity. That's the shift. So when you say you're going to hell or a homosexual is not making it to heaven, you're making a judgment on their identity, and that is wrong. It went from an action now to an identity. Okay, it goes from an action to an identity. Now they put it and wrapped it up into your identity. Okay, it says this. He says, like being Hispanic or a group, anything less than the wholehearted acceptance gets you labeled a bigot. The transformation of a crime against nature, okay, they changed it from a crime against nature to now an identity, okay, into a co-equal civic identity within more than the span of one human lifetime is one of the most remarkable victories in Western world. A minority that didn't exist in a formal sense a century ago has managed to overwhelm and overhaul a universal societal institution that has been in place 1,000 years. In other words, how we've always viewed men and women marriage in less than 100 years, all 5,000 years of history is getting erased because of this one movement. Okay, so he's pointing you on how they have changed the definitions, how they changed how you see things, and the psyop operation, the mental operation that they have put our nation through has begun to move the ball down the court very, very fast. Okay, so a group of people that got no attention, now they're the center of attention in less than 100 years. Okay, so they erased 5,000 years of history like that. Okay, this is how to do it. Okay, so don't be alarmed. They're just writing on it, but these are the steps. change definitions, change how they look, what we're gonna call it, change how we are going to call it. Okay, the American people are going to call it, or the church. Whenever they say American people in many of the writings, they're really talking about the church, because it is the Judeo-Christian values that uphold how we view marriage. Okay, so that's exactly what they're going after. All right. Don't forget the definition of sodomy was a crime against nature and a crime against humanity. So lesbianism is a form of sodomy. Okay, this is all part of it. It's not just a man thing. It's a woman. It's the illegal passions. They're illegal. Okay, so if you look again, the lens we look through is Sodom and Gomorrah. It's a real place. We have the evidence. It's there. And then you go back to how we're going to look at this today. You have to look at it that lens. You just take the lens and keep it biblical. Now watch this, okay? Here's an article from a magazine called The Advocate, and it is a homosexual magazine written by them and their perspectives. Listen to what it says. We have no natural allies, therefore we cannot rely on any group. We only have tactical allies. One that want no harm done to us because they want no harm done to them. Okay. Kirk and Madsen, this is who wrote the book After the Ball. Okay. This is what they're suggesting. Okay. So what the article on The Advocate says, that we don't have any groups that really stand with us. So we got to make alliances everywhere. We have to have people that align with us. And the way we do that if they don't want to be persecuted themselves, then they're not going to persecute us. So it's almost that karma. You've ever heard everybody say karma? Well, this is the idea of karma here. That's what they're using. They're using karma. We don't have any allies, but our allies, if we can convince them not to come after us, because if they come after us, somebody one day is going to come after them. Okay, this is an article from the New Advocate. Okay, now Kirk and Madsen, these are the two main players on After the Ball. These are the guys that set up the whole propaganda. Okay, in 1988, they went to a meeting in San Francisco of all the LGBTQ activists, and out of that meeting, this birthed this book. They went to Harvard and began to work on this book. So what you're looking at, 1988, 1989, this book. Now, don't forget, you got to remember where you were at this time. AIDS was at a height at that point. You had AIDS. AIDS was the greatest gift to the LGBTQ community that you ever saw. I'll bear that out to you. Okay, listen to what Kirk and Madsen said. Okay, now none of these are biological doctors. None of these are doctors in humanity. They're doctors, or they're professors of marketing. How are we going to sell the idea? And they are psychologists creating thoughts. They have nothing, but this is their playbook. Okay, ask yourself a question. What type of book is worth $1,900? They don't want you to get it. The average person will not get it. Okay? I got it. All right? Because inquiring minds got to know. I've got to know. Okay? Because I call it like I see it, balls and strikes. Listen to what they said. Kirk and Madsen, to suggest in public that homosexuality can be chosen is to open up a can of worms labeled moral choice and sin. Okay. In other words, to choose to be a homosexual, we can't say that no more. Get that out of the line. You can't say that. Nah, it's not a choice. It's not a lifestyle. It's your identity. Watch this. Okay. It says, and give the moral intransigence, that's us, the deplorables. It gives us a moral stick to beat them up with. In other words, see Sodom and Gomorrah, you can't talk about that. That's myth. But see, we got the evidence now. Okay, we got the evidence now. So now it's a moral issue. They say, no, it's not a moral issue because it's not a choice, because I was born this way. That's their idea. I was born this way. Okay. Straights must be taught that it is as natural for some persons to be homosexual. Wickedness and seduction have nothing to do with it. Okay. Straight people, get this straight. We got to teach you that we're not wicked. This is not a choice. This is just us. Okay, this is just us. So we got to teach the straight people that no, you're attacking me. I'm a victim. Okay, that way morality goes away. You can't use your Bible against us. The moral laws. Okay, because they got to teach us this. That's why they're teaching. That's why the commercials, etc., go down the line. Watch this. Straights must be taught that it is natural for some persons to be homosexual. Wickedness and seduction have nothing to do with this. And since no choice is involved, gayness can be no more blameworthy than straightness. So, hey, you're you and I'm me. Okay, it's just a matter of the odds. 1 in 10. Listen, 1 in 10. So they use this in their book. They use this measure 1 out of every 10. So they began to put this out constantly, 1 in every 10, 1 in every 10. So 1 out of every 10 men are homosexuals. 1 out of every 10 women are lesbians. That's the measure. But see, that was propaganda. Okay, that's propaganda. As to who turns out gay or straight, each homosexual must realize and acknowledge that he or she could have been a homosexual. So you're there, man. You're just that 1 out of 9 that wasn't it. I wasn't that 10th one. Okay. This is what they're teaching. This is the bedrock of what they teach. It's no longer sin. It's not a choice. It's not a lifestyle. It's who you are. Now they can become a victim. Okay. Now remember, this is a tactic used by the Nazis. If you repeat a lie enough, and you repeat it convincingly enough, with enough amount of times put out there, it becomes truth. And so there are people that are out there, because it's been repeated over and over and over again, you got even the church going, oh yeah, oh okay, that makes sense to me. And they've abandoned the truth of God's word because of propaganda. Now I'm going to show this to you, and I'm using that word propaganda on purpose. Not because I'm using it, but because they used it. Okay? John Keller, he says this: openly homosexual founder of Hope. He's openly homosexual founder of Hope, opposes extreme. In other words, he's a homosexual, but he's against certain things within the movement, the extremes, the grooming, the children. Okay, so this is, listen to him. Listen to what he says. The modern change in opinion concerning homosexuality, though presented as scientific advance, is contradicted rather than supported by science. In other words, there's no science to it. So you think they're telling you, well, believe the science. No, there's no science to it. Science contradicts it. Biology contradicts it. There's nothing that points to this as it being scientific or even medical. So here you have this openly gay man. He says science, if you follow science, it doesn't prove anything. It disproves it. So why do you keep pushing an unproven thought, an unproven thing, because it's an agenda. Homosexuality, gayness, queerness is a religion. It's a religion now. And it's running through our nation. Okay? Watch this. It says, a masterful public relations campaign orchestrated by the gay pride extremists have achieved a transformation. The public morals consist with the widespread abandonment of Judeo-Christian ethics upon which our civilization is based. Though hailed as progress, it is really a reversion to ancient pagan practices supported by a counterculture reinstated in Gnosticism, moral relativism, and homosexuality is a new religion. Now, this is John Keller, one of the homosexual writers, saying, hey, look, this is out of control. And it's out of control because the church has stopped preaching. Churches are empty. America has abandoned Judeo-Christian values. Now we're in a position to where another God has stepped in. And he's warning. This is his warning to us right here. It's even from the other side. He goes, there's no science. There's no science. There's none. He goes, and every time you get into, that's why they won't debate you. They won't debate the church on biology. They won't debate us on science. They can't. There's nothing there. It's only feelings and emotions. It's I thought and I feel. And so we have to stay biblical in this whole thing, lovingly biblical. Okay. So this idea, like I told you before, this agenda that's coming through, how they've done it is, number one, in the early 1900s, they took it from a sin against humanity, a sin and a crime against humanity, and they coined it a condition. You got a condition. Everybody has mercy on people that have conditions. So they begin to ploy on that. Okay. In the book, After the Ball, this is what they said when they came out of that meeting in 1988 with all those activists. They said this: AIDS, we have to figure out a way to make AIDS a catalyst or a weapon against the straight people, so they'll start having mercy upon us. If I get AIDS, have mercy on me. Don't ask me how I got AIDS. That's not important. Okay. They said it was a long shot to get people to care about somebody that's attracted AIDS through sin, but it's a long shot, but we're going to do it. Okay. So let's get into After the Ball, because now you understand some of the perspectives. Okay. Some of the perspectives. Okay. The key components, the key exponents, in other words, exponents are people that put the stuff out. Okay. So here's the keys of what they put out to us. Okay. Here's the ideology. We've taken homosexual from an act, from a choice, from a passion, to now a person. Now you can't attack the person. If you attack the person, they're going to attack you back. It's no longer about sin, no longer about choosing. It's a matter of identity. Okay. This is why in the ideology of where they come from, Black is the new gay. Hispanic is the new gay. Whatever color, that's the new gay. Okay. Remember, 1 in 10 out of 1 in 10 people are all gay. 1 in 10. If you're not gay, you're lucky according to their philosophies. Okay. As I keep going, you'll get this one. Okay. Key components, key exponents of the gay. Homosexual activists after the ball in 1988, they had that meeting. They made a plan on how to weaponize AIDS against America. In other words, if I got AIDS, don't ask me how I got AIDS. Don't call it a homosexual sin. I got AIDS, have mercy on me. How do we weaponize empathy? How do we weaponize that? How do we make ourselves victims in this? They're all victims. That's the whole thing. Victims, and they're asking for empathy from us. And then they weaponize against us by calling us Christians. Well, Christians should be nicer. Christians should be more gentle. Christians should be more, and they give you that whole thing, okay? Here are the key exponents. This is how they get it out. Number one, homosexual activists, okay? Okay, they wrote that book After the Ball, okay? Black civil rights leaders, judges, business leaders, and religious leaders, okay? So those are the areas, those are the 5 areas they said, if we get activists, the LGBTQ community, we get them out there, they're going to help us. If we get the Black civil rights leaders out there, they're going to help us. If we get our first Black president out there that happens to be, I don't know, then, let's get him out there. Let's get judges. Let's get all the judges to rule in favor of this thing. We need judges out there. Got to get law out there. Let's get businesses. Let's get Apple. Let's get Apple to push same-sex marriage in California and overturn the votes of the people. They voted yes on Proposition 8, and a judge got paid off and overruled the rule of the people. Let's get judges. And then religious leaders. Okay, listen, AIDS, as though a loose cannon is a cannon indeed, though. AIDS was a cannon. As cynical as it may seem, AIDS gives us a chance. This is what they said in that meeting. This is in the book, okay? AIDS gives us a chance, however, a brief one, to establish ourselves as victimized minority, legitimately deserving the Americans' special protective care. Now, protect us. Don't ask, hey, if you stop the nasty activity, if you stop the sin, the disease dies. Repent. That's not what they said. Let's weaponize this. We become victims now. Now we're victims. Now they're going to have mercy and they're going to put a care package around us. That was what they tried to do, and they succeeded in that. Okay, watch this. Therefore, this is what they're saying. These are the masters. Therefore, is the question, and this is the question and challenge. How do we surmount our insurmountable opportunity? How can we maximize the sympathy and minimize the fear? Okay, how do we get more sympathy and reduce the fear of this disease of homophobia? Okay, I remember, listen, I grew up in the 60s. We had no filters, man. Hey, when we said somebody was a queer, they knew it. We knew it. We were not afraid to call it out. Okay, listen, that we knew who they were. They knew who they were too. There was no questions about that. Okay. But what they wanted to do was they wanted to reduce the fear of homophobia in America. And they used AIDS to do it. Okay? Okay? How, given this horrid hand that AIDS has dealt us, can we play it the best? How can we maximize this? The campaign was an outline, okay? Was in the outline after the ball. Though complex depends centrally upon a program of unabashed propaganda. Listen, this is what they said in their book. Okay, they said we have to get propaganda. It's gonna be unabashed. We're gonna just flat out lie to them. We're gonna lie. You got to write that down in the chat box. Lie. It's a lie. It's based on a lie. Come on, somebody put lie in there, okay? Put lie in there because it's based on a lie. These are the authors. I challenge you, okay? I challenge you to spend the money, get the book, and read them. These are the architects. These are Obama's friends. These are Harvard. These are the boys right here. I'm giving you the boys, all right? I'm not giving you, well, I don't like it, or some third part. No, this is firsthand stuff. These are the guys that architect this propaganda throughout the nation. These are the ones that got it into the schools all over the place after the ball. Okay, these are the guys. Okay, they say this. He goes, though complex depends centrally upon the propaganda of unabashed propaganda. In other words, we don't even care. We got to get this out. We're going to lie and lie boldly. Have you ever dealt with a liar? Anybody ever dealt with a liar? Right? Yeah, they're lying to you straight out. He says, Kirk and Madison after the ball, okay? They give you the prize, Harvard professors, okay? Here's the propaganda, okay? Propaganda. 3 ways of using the propaganda that they used it, okay? Characteristics distinguish propaganda from other modes of communication and contribute to its sinister reputation. In other words, we don't care about how sinister it is. We're going to use it anyway. We're going to lie, and we're going to lie boldly. We're going to say 1 in 10. Okay, we're going to say 1 in 10, and it's only 1 in 3. Do you know that? Listen, do you know the LGBT trans community is only 3 to 4% of the nation, and yet they're acting like it's everywhere? Because it's propaganda. It's media. It's media. The way they look at it, the way they make you feel is if you go outside, you see one. I don't see any of them. I see a few weirdos at Target or Walmart, or you see a few here, there. You see a guy trying to act like a girl at Ultra here every now and then. You see one here. It's not everywhere, but that's how, listen, because the average is 1 in 3. It's not 1 in 10. So they wanted to lie to you from the beginning. Okay. After the ball, propaganda. They told you in the book, it's propaganda. Watch this. He goes, tell her, listen, this is the propaganda. Tell our side of the story as movingly as possible. Why? Compassion. Have mercy on us. We're the victims. Poor homos, right? Poor lesbians. Oh, poor us. Oh, victims. Watch this. Tell our side of the story as movingly as possible in the battle for their hearts and the battle for their minds. Effective propaganda knows enough to put its best foot forward. That this is what our own media campaign will do. In other words, so they're going to make homosexuals being the smartest people, the wisest people, the cutest people, the most proper people. Look at all the movies that are out there. Who's the life of the party? The homo. Who's the life of the party in all the movies? Who seems to be the smartest one? Who seems to be they never show the homosexual for the lifestyle it really is, the most diseased, the most depressed, the most suicidal. They don't show you any of that on Hollywood. They don't show that in the media. They show this. They're smart. They're brilliant. They're smart. They're cute. They're quippy. They want to put the best foot forward. It's all propaganda. Okay. So they got this method. Okay. That I'm going to lay out for you. Number 1, it's called desensitizing. Okay. This is the first thing they want to do to us, desensitize. To desensitize straights to gays and gayness. Now again, desensitize from us being just straight and normal, what normal society is, to gays and to gayness, to be okay with gayness everywhere. Inundate them in a continuous flood of gay-related advertising, presented in the least offensive fashion possible. Listen, I want you to remember this one. If straights can't shut off the water, they may at least eventually get used to getting wet. In other words, if you get used to on your TV seeing all this homosexuality coming into your house, and all you do is sit there and watch it and bear through it, you got used to being wet. If you don't turn that thing off, get up and walk out, change the channel, explain to your kids, and start changing it, it's because you're wet now. They got you where they wanted to. They got me where they wanted to. Preachers are wet now because they won't preach it anymore. They won't say it. They'll stay away from it. They'll go, the pulpits are dead from it. Why? Because they're wet. This propaganda thing worked. How many remember when ESPN came out and they had their first homosexual draft pick, that he's an open gay, and they kissed on ESPN? If you did not throw a rock at your big screen TV and turn that thing off, then there's something wrong with you. It was in your face. When the first NBA Collins came out and he was gay, and Obama called him to congratulate him on things. Listen. This is what you call getting wet. If you just sit there and say, well, that's them and it's not me, guess what? It may not be you, but it could be your kids. How your children appropriate to this stuff is different than maybe how you did. That's why you have to protect your family from this stuff. Okay? We're wet. People are wet. So what? It's okay. You know, I'm all right with. No. You cannot be all right with this. You can be all right with this as God was all right with this with Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. So listen. Ask yourself a question: are you wet? Is your pastor wet? Well, we're trying to get Robert to take a shower, but anyhow, listen. Okay. So listen. So how you know they're getting wet? The church is wet, okay? It's by the propaganda we've accepted. They're used in movies. I was gonna Google or DuckDuckGo a list of all the gay movies. Okay. Now listen. This is how this works. Okay. Remember the Marlboro Man. Remember the Marlboro Man, the big masculine guy? Why do you think they make a big deal? They make a big deal over an athlete being homo, because what it does is it attacks our masculinity. Look, if he's gay, I guess it's okay. Because he's a big, strong Black athlete. He's a big Hispanic athlete. He's doing manly stuff and he has feminine feelings. Okay? Okay? They're wet. That's how they get us wet. They get us wet. Okay, that's step number one. Get you wet. Desensitize you. You know what? You're okay with it. Don't bother me. Don't bother me. No. Turn that garbage off. Teach your children. Turn that thing off. When I remember I went I think in 1997, The Wedding Planner. I don't know if anybody ever see The Wedding Planner, and J-Lo and I forget who else was in that movie. I remember I was in there and my kids, we went to a matinee. I work nights, so I joined my kids and my wife, and we all went to go see that movie. The movie was awesome. It was great. Everything was fine. Everything was normal. And all of a sudden, here comes this limp-wristed dude running across the stage in the movie. I got up in the middle. Listen, I don't know about y'all. I got up in the middle of the thing in the theater, and I said, "This is garbage." I marked my kids up, and we walked. This is 1996. Okay, all because I didn't want my kids thinking that was normal. Now it's in our face everywhere. It's in our face everywhere. They've desensitized us so we don't mind being wet. We don't mind seeing it on TV. We don't mind it in our homes. We don't mind it. We don't mind it anywhere. We don't mind it in our worship music. We don't mind it anywhere. We got guys looking like women all the time now in church. Just saying. Because we're wet.
Yeah. California, Hollywood.
Every research I got is Chicago.
See, you know you're lying. Pinocchio, your nose is growing.
Hey, California's dirty. We're dirty. We're dirty. Okay, so they want to desensitize us. Okay, so you as a Christian are okay with it on TV. You as a Christian are okay with it. Okay, you're okay with it. Right? The next phase that they use is called jamming. Jamming. Okay? Jamming. This is what jamming is. It accuses religious people. It accuses religious people. This is what it does. Gays can use talk to muddy up the moral waters. That is, to undercut the rationalization that justify religious bigotry and to jam some of its psychic rewards. In other words, they will take a portrait of an anti-gay institution, and then they'll label it. Listen, they'll label it as KKK. They'll label it as a bigot. They'll label it as anything that is against them. They'll label it. They'll throw a label of KKK or whatever, something that is unacceptable. Now, if you're a business or a church or a preacher, nobody wants to be labeled a KKK or nobody. So guess what they do? They jam you with that accusation that you're gay, that you're a bigot, that you're a homophobe, that you're hateful, that you're mean. So guess what? How do you know when a pastor is jammed? How do you know when you're jammed? I'm going to preach to you today about divorce. Okay. You know, I'm not against people that are divorced. I know people that are divorced. I have friends that are divorced. I have enemies that are divorced. I'm not being hateful. I'm just going to preach what the word says. Why did they introduce the message that way? If they were talking about joy, they wouldn't say that. Why? Because they've been jammed. They've been jammed by being labeled. That's how they jam you. They put a label in front of you, and if you come against them, they'll throw that label on you. So they'll call you all kinds of names. You're jammed. You're afraid to be called these things, so you'll stop your information. You've been jammed. Okay? That's how they jam you. That's how they jam us. So when we get somebody influential, that's why they like movie stars. That's why they like these people. Why? Because if that person is saved and they're gay professing, guess what? I can't say anything against them because they'll call me a bigot. They'll call me a homophobe, and I'm jammed now. Now I shut my speech down. Now I shut what I read down. Now I shut it down. So they jam us. I don't know if you guys know that, what was his name for the Giants, the NFL player, Strahm, right? Well, he's bisexual. Okay, but he's a manly man on the front. Okay, but he has a lifestyle, and we all know it. It's all there. But to say that that's a sin, well, I'm not going to say that. What? Because you're jammed. Because you don't want to be looked at from a different position. So they jam the church. They jam the preachers. They jam everybody. Why? Because if you go against their narrative, they'll call you a name. You're afraid of names. So you jam yourself. Okay? That's how they do it. It's called jamming. It's a strategic thing. Okay? So they equate you, listen, they'll equate whatever you're doing to a Nazi or to the KKK if you oppose homosexuality. So we apologize. I'm not homophobic. I'm not this. I'm not that. And then we teach our lesson. Why are you defending yourself? Because you're jammed. You're wet and you're jammed. Because most people in our congregation have accepted that as a norm in society when it's not. Amen. Okay. Here's the last part. Now, this is their strategy. Okay. So what do? They desensitize you. They make you okay with it. Then they jam you. Don't talk about it. Don't talk bad about it. Don't agree. If you go against our narrative, we're going to shut you down. Okay. And the last one is conversion. Okay. Conversion doesn't mean I came to the Lord. They don't want you to become homosexual. Okay. They don't want that. They don't care. You know what they want you to do? It's the process of liking them. I like it. I like him. They're okay. Come see, come saw. Come see, come saw. Hey. So the conversion portion is, I don't mind it in my house. I don't mind it all around me. I don't mind it. and my friends. I don't mind it. I'm good. They're good. I'm good. Your conversion has taken its complete course. You bought the message of being wet. You bought the message of not saying anything. Now they're converging you to align with them and like them. Now, this is important. Liking them is important because if you like them, you will never harm them. Remember those other points we talked about. You will never sit there and say, no men and boys in girls' restrooms. You won't say that. You're jammed. Not only are you jammed, right? You already convert. You already don't mind being wet because it didn't faze you. And now the final, your conversion. It's okay. I guess that's the way it is. Go ahead and walk in on my daughter in the restroom. We got major issues. I don't care. Somebody's going down today. Why? Because of we're not buying it. We're not buying the propaganda. Listen, they lied about everything. Okay. Watch this. Convergence. It's not enough. It's not enough that anti-bigots should be confused about us. In other words, they don't want us to like have questions about them, be confused about them. Goes or even indifferent to us. We are safest in the long run if we can actually make them like us. Please don't confuse convergence with political subvergence. By convergence, we actually mean something far more profoundly threading to the American way of life. In other words, they want to thread their way through families. They want to destroy the family. Listen, I'm no greater than my grandsons. And if my grandsons are threaded with this stuff, this ideology, we got major issues down my family line. My legacy is at stake. If you're a father and you have sons, you're a mother, have daughters and sons, you should be very concerned about this threading that they're talking about. We want this in every facet of America.
Okay. I got a question by Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
I was thinking, he's right, but they're gonna go. It's gonna go even deeper than the sexual stuff. They're gonna be doing some crazy stuff that we would never even think. The perverted stuff. They're gonna want your children after that. See, that's just opening up the door for something. But hey, Pastor, I was thinking about when you're talking. I'm like, hey, could you imagine yourself just sitting there? You go to open up you're in your kitchen to get some coffee, and you open up your windows, and you see a bunch of dudes out there with some leather jackets and the funny hats and peacocks and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hey, brother, it's a real thing. See, Satan is in our face, and this is how even the elect are deceived. Satan is in our face now, and we can't even judge evil anymore. We've called it normal. Evil has been normalized. And yeah, I'm with you, Joseph. I'm with you on that. Some crazy stuff happening out there. But let's get through this real quick. Man, time's flying. Robert, you're always late, man.
Yeah, you're on California time. Jeez. Coming in when you want, starting class when you want.
Listen, okay. So without which no truly sweeping social change can occur. We mean convergence of the average American's emotions, minds, and will through planned psychological attack in the form of propaganda fed to the nation via the media, academia. That's page 153, 154. Okay. That's on. Now I have, listen, okay, I have on my computer, I have the PDF file on After the Ball. Okay, so if I can get it out to you, I will. If you want it, you need to read it. It's not a big read. That's why when I looked at the price of that thing, I was like, huh? the PDF file. I could see if I can get that out, because you need to know that. You need to know this is what they're doing. Okay. Have you seen those commercials? We have them here in California. Okay. Truth be told, where all of a sudden
don't
a
have
girl
those type of commercials
and
in
then
Chicago.
a girl standing there, they're advertising a casino, they're advertising whatever, and all of a sudden a man's face will take over her face, and all of a sudden it's a guy doing something different, and they blend in and out, a man and it's all part of this psychological, that men and women and men, there's all this confusion. That's all part of this. It's all the artificial intelligence that we're going to deal with. Okay, so how do they do this? So now we know jammed. People are jammed. People are desensitized, and they want to convert us. They want to convert us to be okay, to like them, just like us. If you like us, then I know you won't hurt us. Then I know that we're going to be able to do whatever we want to do. Okay, just like the devil, you give him an inch, he takes a mile, right? We got to put an end to this. Okay, civil leaders. Okay, who else are the exporters of this stuff? Civil leaders. Okay, there's a gentleman by the name of Julian Bond, the NCAACP. Okay, this is supposed to protect, the Black African American. Okay. We are the only Americans who were enslaved for 2 centuries, but we were far from the only Americans suffering discrimination then and now. Second, why did I pull this? This is a sexual parallel. Race and sex, they keep it together. They're saying slavery and homosexuality on the same level. The persecution. That's right. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying, oh, the slavery, the blacks with the slavery, but now the homosexuals are being persecuted in America. How many remember that shooting in Tennessee with the trans shooting, right? And they shot up six people. And you know what the Washington Post and the New York Times headline was? Trans people are under attack. Whoa, what? Because that's the narrative. If you're still listening to any media, mainstream media, you are delusional. That's half your problem. Okay? Listen, Martin Luther King's wife said this. Martin Luther King, the widow of Martin Luther King. Listen to her. Okay? Coretta Scott King, widow of Martin Luther King. Banning same-sex marriage is a form of gay bashing. Okay. Again, these are people that are out to victimize sin. Michael Steele, he's a Republican. He's supposed to be conservative. He's supposed to be listen to him. He's another black gentleman, but listen to him. Former RNC chair. He said this in GQ magazine 2009. Oh no, I don't think I'll ever really subscribe to that view, that you can turn it off and turn it on like a water tap. I think that there's a whole lot that goes on into the makeup of an individual than one can simply just say, oh, like tomorrow, I'm going to stop being gay. It's like me walking in tomorrow and saying, I'm going to stop being black. It's that whole turn of events where they take identity instead of action. The act of Sodom is a sin, but because they took it from an act and made it personal, you can't, I'm a victim. It's all victimhood. It's all propaganda. Okay. They use judges, the Supreme Court in California. Okay. Like gender or race, listen, does not constitute a legitimate basis upon which to deny or withhold legal rights. We therefore conclude that in the view of the substance and significance of the fundamental constitutional right to form a family, okay? So what they did was they redefined what a family was. We didn't even know it, but the law changed. They changed it on you. Now they're going to tell you what a family is. We didn't vote for them, for those guys. But yet they're going to change it all. Watch this. He says, the California Constitution properly must be interpreted to guarantee the basic civil rights to all Californians, whether gay or heterosexual, and to the same-sex couples, as well as to opposite-sex couples. They're making these decisions above the will of the people. When we did Proposition 8, to vote yes on Proposition 8 was to say marriage is between men and women. We won that vote. They took it to court and overturned it, and this is what they're saying. We don't like what you think. We don't like your morality. See, California wasn't as crazy as people thought they were. Unlike pushing out Barack Obama, and never mind. We got Newsom on our hands, so we're in trouble. Okay, and then you have this here, President Barack Obama. Okay, so this is how this stuff got to us so quickly on a local level. President Barack Obama. While we have a long way to go, okay, since the Stonewall riots of 1969. Does everybody know what the Stonewall riots are of 1969? He's referring to? It's when there was gay homosexual bathhouses that were infiltrated by the cops, and they shut them down. The homosexuals started rioting. That's what that was. Okay? So this is what President Obama was calling oppression. That they shut down a pedophilia ring of homosexuals in bathhouses. Though we've come a long way in the Stonewall riots, we still have a lot of work to do. Too often, the LGBTQ rights is exploited by seeking to divide us. Why is he always saying us? Is he gay? Makes you wonder. Okay? It's his words, not mine. He says, we still have a lot of work to do. Too often the issue of LGBT rights is exploited by this seeking to divide us. But at its core, this issue is about who we are as Americans. Remember when he came out and says, we're going to fundamentally change America? That's what he was talking about. What is our fundamentals and what's he going to change? Okay? Education. Okay? Education. That's why if you're in public schools, especially in Chicago public schools, oh, look, Robert turned around now. Okay?
Watch yourself. Watch yourself.
Obama immediately, he hired a gentleman by the name of Arnie Duncan. You remember him? Arnie Duncan? He was the education secretary out of Chicago. Now listen to him. Okay? This is what the from Chicago school districts. Now I know why. Now I know why Robert can't read or write.
You're getting too much into this Chicago stuff, brother.
I'm just saying, dude. I did the research. It was right here. This is low hanging fruit.
It existed long before Chicago showed up.
I didn't have to even dig for it. Watch this. Okay. Here's the guy that Obama pulled right in. Okay, from Chicago School District, only 83% couldn't read at a grade level. 83% couldn't read at a grade level. 87% couldn't do math at a grade level. 77% couldn't write at a grade level. 84% couldn't do science at the grade level. Here's a guy that had 80% or better failure rates, and now he's at the White House. That guy couldn't run a lemonade stand, much less an education system. But why did he go to the White House? Easy. Okay. Even more astonishing, this is his accomplishment. The secretary-elect managed to achieve these arresting arresting results by spending a modest $10,555 per student. Do you know the average homeschool kid? They spend $600 a year on an average homeschool kid that outperforms the public school kid 99 times out of 100. And they spend $600. This guy spends $11,000. What are they doing with that? They're queering the children. They're queering the system. Who would promote this guy if there's not an agenda? This is how it's happening. It's how it's happening in California. Hey, we're starting to stand up. Then, hey, the Armenian people, boy, they went nuts in Glendale. They went nuts. We shut down California. We shut down the Dodger Stadium thing. People are not having it. They're not having it. The church needs to stand up. It's the first time that the church actually went to the corner and 5,000 people stood on Vince Scully Boulevard and would not let people pass. And the gospel was preached. Shut those little clowns down. We got to punch back. We got to push back. Okay. We got to stop being jammed. We got to stop converting to their ideology. And we definitely have to stop being wet with this stuff. Okay. So this is why he was appointed. Okay. Okay. He started the Chicago Annenberg Challenge. Okay. Bill Ayers and Barack Obama were on the school board. They endorsed the establishing of the Social Justice High School, Pride Campus. They started, Chicago president started a Pride Campus. That was his goal. This is how this stuff is getting in. This is how politics plays into everything. Okay? Pride Campus, designed for openly homosexual students. Chicago's first government high school, first promotion and reinforcement of the sodomite lifestyle. There he is. Okay. I got so much more. Business leaders, Steve Jobs. You can go Amazon. You can go Bud Light. You can go all them. Listen, we're jammed. Their propaganda has worked. This is how they got to us. This is how people can look. Listen, if I showed you last week or 2 weeks ago that when you change the wording of the Bible, it's because they're jammed. Why isn't sodomite in there 100% of the time? Why did they change it? When it's in the original text, it's in the Greek, it's right there. Why did they change it? Why did they take embryo out of the Bible in the translations? Is anybody offended with embryo? Is anybody offended with the word embryo? Is there? Unless there's an agenda to take it out of the vocabulary and the minds of the pulpits and the pews. We have to start waking up to this agenda and start saying, you know what? I'm going to get in my word. I'm going to believe the word of God. I'm going to trust the word of God. Sodom and Gomorrah is a reality. It's a purview of how God looks at this sin. Now I see how they got it in, the system that they used to get it in on us. Okay, I'm desensitized. I've been jammed, and I'm converted. I don't mind them around. I don't mind their agendas. I don't mind. You don't know, here in California, we have a 12,000 member church that many of my former church members go to. And they just went woke. They just flew the LGBTQ flag over their church. Andy, is anybody aware of Andy Stanley? Now his dad was a great preacher. Okay, the Southern Baptist Convention, the largest church organization in the world. They're almost 60% woke because of this agenda. They have no biblical base. I'm telling you, they won't debate. They'll always debate Christian virtue. They'll never debate human sin. And so we need to come to grips with this. Again, there's another 2-3 pages on this I don't get to, but I'll send you the notes. But after the ball, It's the playbook. Okay. If I can get everybody the PDF file, I'll send you the PDF file because you need to do it's absolutely eye-opening. You know, David Ojeda, man, thank you for listening, man. Thank you for listening. You know,
No, thank you. Thank you for all the teachings and all the wisdom. Thank you.
no, we're having fun, man. I appreciate you guys joining on. I definitely do. And I know it's a little bit tedious just dealing on this subject, but it's so near and dear because all our kids watch media. All our kids are involved in it. All the high school and school kids. And if you're a preacher, and if you're in your living room and you turn the TV on, this stuff is splashing you in the face, and you have to have a response. You have to have a response. Do we turn it on, or do we walk away and say, not in my house? Nope. We got to start teaching our kids. We have to start standing up. I will not be desensitized. I will not be jammed, and I definitely will not converge to this. I will not do that. I will not do that. So anyhow, any questions?
Any questions, guys? I know he went over a lot. I know he went over a lot of time.
Well, you were late, man.
No, you were
You
late.
sent me the wrong stuff.
No, I didn't. It's the same thing every week. And you ask again, what's the Zoom code?
I'm old, man. I'm 60 years old. I'm old.
The Zoom code never changes.
Me olvidó.
It's the same code.
Ya se fue.
Yeah. It didn't go. It was never there in the first place.
Hey, you know, that's a good one. I remember that.
All right, David. David's got a question.
Go ahead,
The other
Dave.
David.
No, I
Jeremy.
was just gonna say I'm kind of the same because I'm new to the Zoom and stuff. So
Yeah.
the second week I couldn't find the code, and I was like losing my mind, and I was sweating, I was getting upset, and then I finally found it, and then I logged in. But yeah, I had to take a screenshot of it so that way I have it close.
Hey, you're ahead of the game because I screenshot what? I called him up. Hey, dude, send me the link. Send me the link. He sends me the link, and it goes to that other video he does. That other streaming he does.
Yeah.
You send that to me. Thanks, friend.
I didn't send that one.
Yes, you did.
It's okay
I'll show
for
you.
a student to be messed up, but the teacher, come on. The Bible says the anointing flows from the top down. So if the teacher is messed up, where does that leave the students?
Hey. Nothing I can tell you, man. Nothing I can tell you.
Yeah.
I'm messed up.
Is that California air?
No, I'm an illegal immigrant to the media realm. I'm illegal in this thing. So you got to help me out, man. I needed your green card to get me through on this.
Hey,
You know.
at 26th Street, we'll get you papers.
Yeah.
Your new name is Fernando Venezuela.
Yep. Hey, so next week, now that we kind of got this biblical framework, now we'll get into some translating next week. We'll get into why you need theology and get you into some solid stuff. Now that I kind of get you on how I look at the Bible, how I do this, and then I'll bring that other stuff in. So it'll be a theological training next week. So,
Amen. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, who's gonna lead the flag and pursue these guys?
hey, man, listen, there's organizing everywhere now. You know, and if there's something in your local area, hey, show up. Everybody should be taking a stand on this thing, man.
I think we need to worry about California because that's where it's all coming from.
See? Everybody
Hey,
knows.
go wash your hands, dog. Go wash your hands.
Everybody knows, man. You could try to place Chicago there, but we all know the
Hey,
truth.
is this your friend?
The truth will set you free.
They got the Tutti Frutti brigade out there, man.
Hey, I've walked down Michigan Avenue in Chicago, okay? They got some sugar in their tank down there too, all right?
Yeah, that's all right. But we ain't got enough that supplies the world like Kelly.
I put mine in your phone.
Any other last questions?
Yeah, any more questions?
What are some
This has been fun.
I mean, it's not really a question, but like I was watching an interview, and I think it was with BlackRock or one of the Rockefellers.
Okay.
They were talking about how they were losing money on Target, this and that, and then the guy said that it's not really about losing money; it's about like changing the culture, or saying something like that. Like the main people that own the companies, they don't care about losing money.
Right.
They're okay with losing billions. They're trying to change everything, and like it's just
yeah.
Like,
and this is why you have to keep this is why preaching is so important. This is why the gospel is so important, because we don't care about money either.
If you could read it, I want to have that.
See, we don't care about money either. It's the gospel. It's a battle of ideas now. It's a battle of God's way or the devil's way. It's that battle now. And if people aren't aware of that, then they're sadly because they don't care about money. They got billions. That's why they're talking the way they talk. If they were stocking shelves, they wouldn't talk that way. But they got billions.
That's why they twisted up all the churches, got everybody against each other, so they can come in and do what they got to do. We don't support each other. We don't unify. We don't support each other's businesses. That's why they got all they're in control of the medical. They're in control of the news. They're in control of everything you can think of.
It's because your pastor's compromised. Because they got you your pastor, man.
Never.
I don't know, man. They got California, man. I'm telling you, man. Hey, I'll tell you this right now. They're coming out like sea creatures over there or something, man.
Hey, bro, if you're gonna come at Chicago, don't come wimpy. You gotta come hardcore.
Yeah.
We preach the word. We ain't no Andy Stanley. We ain't no craziness out there, man.
Now, how many of y'all are from Chicago in there?
Right here.
A group of us. Most of us.
Most of you? Oh, so these are your boys, huh? This is your gang, huh?
Yeah, don't mess around, man.
Okay. Hey, y'all need to start a prayer chain for Brandon Johnson, all right? Hey, he came to your church and told you he was going to stand on God's word. You hold him accountable to that.
That's right.
Pray for him. Love him. Pray for him. A lot of pressure. Hey, this stuff is not easy. Stuff is not easy. But it must be done. It must be done. Pray for that man, because he's Robert's friend, and I think he's rubbing off on Robert, you know.
Hey, man.
Robert goes soft on me. He's looking for another
hard
program.
in Chicago. Dunamis brings hard, baby. We bring the truth. Ain't no wokeness there.
We love it. We love it. Well, God bless it. Now listen, hey, send me an email, efjministry@gmail.com. If I can link everything up for you, the notes and the PDF file, I'll do that and send it out to you, because it is worth to have that book with you. So you can hear they're just like flat out telling you, oh yeah, we lie about everything. Everything. We don't care what the science says. We don't care. This is what we want. And they put it out. And that's something I think you guys should have.
Amen.
So let me know. Does everybody got it? Okay, no, don't put it on this, man. I'll put my email on here, so you guys can send me a test email, and I'll link everything to yours. If not, you'll be waiting for me to get on Zoom again.
Yeah, you're lucky he gets on every Monday. So remember, guys, I'm in Springfield, Missouri right now. We have our district council And so tomorrow, no Bible study. I'll be knocked out.
You're gonna go get compromised again?
What's that?
He's at the district office getting compromised.
Yeah, I'm out here. I'm out here in Missouri, Springfield right now. So
Hey, what are you going there for? What are you there for?
the district council.
Oh, you know Ellie Modeking?
Uh-huh.
Tell her I said hello if you see her.
Yeah, we're gonna take the kids out there to the headquarters. We might see her tomorrow.
All right. Tell her I said hello.
So God bless you guys. Remember, no Bible study Tuesday. So don't think the rapture happened. We're just off.
Yeah. Hey, because we all know Robert ain't going. So he'll be here teaching.
Hey, if I stay, the whole state of California is staying.
Hey, they got at least 5 righteous. We got at least 5 righteous.
Hey, they
We
asked
got
that
the
question,
California rainbow.
and God said it wasn't even 2 righteous.
Hey, dude, you better take Joseph to war with you, man.
That's my boy Joe, man. You don't miss.
Joseph he's down for the fight.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
there's gonna be big old rainbows over the Dodger Stadium, huh?
yeah. Hey, man, Elias, that's my goon squad, man. You don't miss. You gotta get to the goon before you can come at me.
You didn't tell me I was going to the church hood, but I guess I'm
Hey.
there.
We roll. Hey, at Dunamis, we roll hard, baby.
Hey, you guys shoot real bullets there.
All
All right, y'all. God bless you.
God
All
bless
right.
you guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.